What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in the Khaliis Take. You know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button. Also hit that notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. But hey, let's just go ahead and jump right in. At this point, you ask yourself, what do the Lakers need to do? I mean, it's like they just can't win. The Lakers just can't win. They can't find a way to be effective enough to beat anybody. And they haven't won a game since the All-Star break has started. The whole notion was for the Lakers to come off the All-Star break because they had rest and everything like that, to come off the All-Star break and, try to make a run at this, try to make a run at the playoffs. And it just seems like they're digging a hole deeper and deeper for themselves that they can't seem to get out of. LeBron is just getting overly tired. You look at last night's game in the Dallas Mavericks. There was one point in the game near the end or the middle of the game, I would say, he sits down and he just looks exhausted. He looks just beyond, playing basketball for this team. He looks like he's just there to be there, and he's not there with any excitement or any type of drive that he's always had. And I know losing definitely gives you that type of notion because you don't have the mentality of, I want to go out there and do this for my team, and I'm going to put this team on my back, and we're going to win. And LeBron can't really have that mentality now because he's not, young enough to do that anymore. He's a lot older. He can't carry a team no more. And if he could carry this team, he would. But at the same time, he can't. So it's like he's stuck, he's neutralized. And at this point in his career, it's all about winning, even more so now than it ever was, because now you're on the downslide of your career. You can't really, like I said, carry a team the way you used to. And you got to really rely on the pieces around you to make this team better. And that's something that LeBron's really not used to. I mean, of course, he's always had pieces around him that can help him win, but he always been the number one guy that could put the team on his back, even when those role players aren't playing at the highest. And he didn't mind doing it for years because that's, a part of his MO. That's what he's been known for. But when you look at the team now and the way they are, he has to rely on these players. He has to rely on Austin Reeves, which is very, very weird, because a player like that is really good, but you can't rely on Austin Reeves. Like, he's a young player, undrafted. You can't rely on him to help you win a championship. He has to rely on Trevor Ariza and Carmelo Anthony and these other guys. And him relying on players like that is not good because they've never won championships. Some of them haven't been in the league long enough. Some have been in the league a long time and never won because they're not winners and they don't play defense. I say Austin, I think Reeves, he does play defense, but still, my point is this. LeBron has to rely too much on his teammates to help him win now, and that's never been something he had to do. He always could just take over anytime he wanted to and dominate the game in his form or fashion. Now that he's not able to do that, now he's on a team with the Lakers with a player like Russell Westbrook that he chose to be on there to try to help this team win. Now he's losing games that most people think that he shouldn't be. And I say the same thing, but at the same time, like I said, he chose Russell Westbrook. They chose to put him on that team to see if they can form a big three and go against the Brooklyn Nets. That's what they did it for. And, when you think about that, it just didn't work out in no phase because, like I said, Russell Westbrook is really not, the player that they need him to be in regards to, helping you win, because he's not a winning player. He's all about his stats and doing what he does best and getting numbers. He's not, he doesn't play to help you win because it's not that Russell Westbrook doesn't want to win. He just really doesn't know how to win. And LeBron trying to teach a player like him to be a winner this late in Russ's career, where Russ is on the downside rather than the upside of his career, definitely not a smart move. It's definitely not a smart move at all. So, I mean, it's like when you look at the situation, it just really, really is a mind-boggling situation for the Lakers because you come back in games, you take leads in the, you take the lead of a game in the second half where it looks like you have the momentum, and then all of a sudden, a team just finds their way creeping back on you, and they find a way to win. I mean, they did the same thing the other night against the Clippers, same thing they did last night against Dallas. They had Dallas, they were up on Dallas in the third, going in the fourth quarter, and I think they had a lead on Dallas like the last few minutes of the game, actually, like the last 5 5 minutes or so, and they couldn't find a way to hold the lead because they don't have any defense. And of course, Luka's playing at a MVP caliber type level so far, or at least right now, these last several games. But at the same time, it's like the Lakers just really can't find a way to sustain any success because they don't play defense. I mean, you look at you look at the team next door in the Clippers. I mean, they don't have no offense. They don't have none of their superstar firepower offensively. But what's keeping them afloat and keeping them a really good team is they do it by committee and they play with defense. They are a top-rated defense, a top 10, top 15 defensive team in the league in regards to how they play defense. So when you look at that keeps them in a lot of games. And you never know whether somebody can knock down a shot or not, which is the reason why, like I said, they're 2 games over 500 and the Lakers are several games under 500. It's just, not winning basketball when you don't play defense. And a lot of people try to forget about defense because the NBA is predicated on so much offense now, because you have players like Stephen Curry and all this stuff who shoot jumpers from 30, 40 feet. That's fine. But what makes a team really good is their defense. And if you look at Golden State is not really a great team unless Draymond Green is there. Draymond Green makes them a greater team than what they are, because Klay and Steph are good, but they're only scorers. And Klay can guard a little bit, but he's not a defensive player like Draymond is. So it's like when Draymond is there, he's not only the heart and soul, but he brings them more validity on the defensive end, which makes them a dangerous team or a threat to beat anybody in a 7-game series to win a championship, which is one reason why they've won multiple championships. So when you look at it, the Lakers just don't have any defense. They can't stop anything. They have moments where they go on runs and games, but it's just not good enough. And like I said, even with or without Anthony Davis, it still really didn't look much different. It looked about the same, as far as like how they played. Because I mean, they were still losing when all 3 of the players were on the floor and couldn't figure things out. And now they still got 2 superstars on the floor, but one of the superstars is really old, and he's just really over this team, looks like. And LeBron just doesn't look like he wants to be there, and he's just really pouting, showing it on the court in body language. I really think that's bad, because as your best player, you don't want your best players showing that type of lack of aggression. You don't want your best players showing the world how in disgust he is of this team or how the way the team is playing. You want your best player to go out there with his head up high and play every game, and allow his body language and everything to say the same thing when he's playing. And I know it's hard, because it's hard when you're losing. It's hard to keep the same mentality. It's hard to be consistent, offensively and everything like that. But you have to find a way to fight through it. And like I said, he chose Russell Westbrook. They could have got Buddy Hield at some point, or at least went after Buddy Hield. And you got Russell Westbrook there, which doesn't help your cause. And of course, it's not all Russ's fault, but at the same time, LeBron put a lot of this on himself. And the bet he put on Russell Westbrook by getting him there, getting him acquired on the Lakers, it's really looked at as a bad bet now, because it's not panning out to anything, and it's only making you lose or look more like a loser rather than a winner. And unless something really changes for the Lakers, here in the next week or a couple weeks, I mean, it's going to be a really, really tough season. I mean, they actually, they got a good, redemption game coming up against the Clippers, I believe Thursday night. So I mean, that might help boost their confidence some. But even if they win that game, it's like that's one game. That doesn't necessarily mean you're back on track. I mean, they lose so many. They lose 4 or 5 before they win 1 or 2. You're not going to get anywhere like that. That's just a bad ratio. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at the Lakers, this looks really, really awkward, but it is what it is, and you are what your record is. And right now I think they're 27-34 or something like that. So they're in the 9th seed and they're sitting there, and if they don't watch out, I mean, the Pelicans might actually be on their heels to take that play-in tournament spot. So I mean, the Lakers really going to have to try to buckle down and get better, because I mean, you don't want to be knocked out the play-in, or you want to better your chances as good as you can to make the playoffs. So, if they went on like a winning streak or something, they might be okay, but I don't see them doing that because they just don't have the defense to do it. And hopefully, maybe with the new DJ Augustine signing, maybe that'll give him a little bit more offense, something like that. He's not going to change life for the Lakers, but maybe he can give him a little bit more offense, a little bit more versatility on offense, and maybe that'll help them out some, but I just don't see them going too far the way they're playing right now unless something really changes. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section as always. And hey, Khaliis out.